Hey guys, Latimer here. As a writer, I often get asked the same question, and I'm sure you do as well. Inevitably, when I'm at a party or a wedding or something like that, someone will always trot out the question, "You're a writer? That's so cool. Where do you get your ideas from?" Which is not necessarily a bad question. I love to talk about where I get my ideas from. I love to talk about my ideas. What, you want to talk about me for an hour? Let's do this. But this is a question that gets asked so often that sometimes I am very tempted to resort to sarcastic answers. Oh, you know, Costco, the idea aisle. I get a 10-pack. It's hard when your ideas occur to you randomly, which is for the most part what happens with me. It won't even be necessarily a concrete idea at first. It will be a sound or something someone will say, or maybe one specific part in a movie that will just trigger something in my brain, and that will build up over the next couple of days into a more full-fledged actual story idea. And that's kind of the hard thing to explain to somebody who doesn't really have dozens of story ideas popping up all over the place. Sometimes though, I will finish my first draft and I'll want to let it sit for a while and I want to start on something else, and I won't necessarily have an idea that's been nagging at me for the past couple weeks. Usually that doesn't happen to me, I will say. Usually I have a shiny new idea that's been bothering me for like the last 3 weeks and I've been dying to get started on it. But sometimes I'll have a lull in the idea making process and I'll have to ask myself the what if question. Start with a character, and it doesn't have to be a fully fleshed out character. Mine doesn't even usually have a name. A teenager in New York, or a 15-year-old cheerleader, or a painter living in 19th century London. Once you've got the character kind of fixed in your mind, they can just be kind of like a vague outline of a character, then you start throwing the what if questions at them. And the question itself doesn't have to be groundbreaking. So we'll start with a boy from New York. What if a boy from New York was forced to move to a rural town in Saskatchewan? Clearly, that's not an earth-shattering question, it's not that exciting, but that's where you build on it. Okay, so we've got a New York teenager forced to move to a backwater town in Saskatchewan. He probably hates it. What if the town is populated with kind of weird people? What if there's something unnatural about them? What if they're hiding something? So now I have something that's a little creepy, a little unsettling. I might be sure of the genre at this point. It might be a psychological thriller, it might be a horror, and I'm starting to develop more ideas about what I want to do with this story and what direction it's going to go in. So let's have another example, the 15-year-old cheerleader. So what if this 15-year-old cheerleader is kicked off of her team? Again, not this kind of crazy hook to the story yet, but we keep going from there. Why was she kicked off the team? Maybe because she seriously injured her team captain. Maybe she broke her leg. Okay, how did she break her leg? Let's say she did it accidentally with her mind. She's a cheerleader with telekinesis. Maybe this one's going to be a horror as well. It kind of seems like that's the direction my what if questions go in. So then we look at our third example of a young painter in London. This is actually more specific because this is my actual story that I wrote and got an agent for. And I went with what if her first portrait that she ever painted came to life? And then I continue on by asking myself, okay, well, why did it come to life? Because she's got this family curse that's passed on from generation to generation. Okay, where does the curse come from? Oh, okay, that other famous story about cursed paintings, Dorian Gray. She's related to Dorian Gray. So this is the kind of thing that you brainstorm a piece at a time and a story sort of slowly forms around that first what if question. It's something that often produces a more commercial kind of hook if you continue going with it and maybe developing it into something weirder and weirder, which is usually what I do. So if you're ever stuck for an idea, definitely try a what if question. And let me know in the comments below if this is something that works for you, if you come up with some really cool ideas from it. Don't forget, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, the WordNerds have our live chat and we would love to see you there. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next week.